Okay, hello friends. Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, as we discussed in the last class, I already covered the discussion about various kinds of programming languages. I discussed about the differences between compiler, interpreter. I discussed about the operating systems, various kinds of operating systems, and little bit I have started a discussion about the computer memory or computer storage devices. Okay, so in today's class, we are also going to continue with the discussion of storage devices, and then after the completion of the discussion of computer memory, then we will move to the discussion of number system. Okay. So let me share my screen first. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay, fine. So as I already told you the last class that computer storage device is one of the core component or core function in a computer architecture, and it is mainly used to record the digital data inside a computer in the form of 0 and 1s. So computer storage device is broadly classified into these 5 categories. Okay, the first one is the computer register, second one is the computer cache memory, third one is the primary memory, fourth one is the secondary memory, and the fifth one is the tertiary memory. Okay, this is a broad classification of a computer storage devices, overall computer storage devices, or the storage which are embedded within the computer system, as well as which are part of or you can say which works like a peripheral of a computer system. Okay, not all the memory is not embedded within the computer system. Like all of you know that pen drive is not a intimate part of the computer system. It is not embedded within the computer system, or CD, DVD, or flash drive. Those are external storage devices. So this is a broad classification of computer memory system, including internal as well as external storage devices, right? So uh, there is a computer hierarchy which will be represented in the form of pyramids. This is a very famous pyramid which is called computer memory hierarchy in the form of pyramidal structure. I think you should have remembered this pyramidal structure. It will help you to remember the overall significance of computer memory and its organization. Okay, so in the pyramid structure, at the top of the pyramid we see that computer register is there, then followed by a computer cache memory, then followed by a main memory or RAM, ROM. Okay, both are part of the main memory. Main memory is equivalent to the primary memory. Then followed by a secondary memory. Hard disk is a part of the secondary memory, and then followed by the magnetic tape, or it also you can say it's a part of the secondary memory. Actually, tertiary memory is not shown here because as tertiary memory is working as an external storage device, it is not part of the computer system. That's why it is not shown in the pyramidal structure. Okay, but rest of the memories are generally embedded within any computer system or your machine or your laptop device. Okay, all these memory are embedded, right? Only a tertiary memory is a movable memory, is a reliable memory which can easily move data from any locations without hampering the computer architecture. So that's why it's called a tertiary memory, or it is not included as an embedded part of the computer system, right? Now, this pyramidal structure is generally, yes, I will come about the cache memory. I will come all the individual memory one by one. Okay, and whatever punch points you will think that this is important, you can note it down. Okay, I'm just telling to you, and whatever points you think that that's important for you, you can note it down. So this pyramidal structure is generally drawn or generally built up based on 3 parameters. Based on the concept of 3 parameters, this pyramidal structure is built on. Okay, what are those 3 parameters? Very important. The first parameter, the size of the memory. Second parameter, cost of memory. And the third parameter, speed of memory. Okay, what are those 3 parameters? First parameter, size of the memory. Second parameter, cost of the memory. And the third parameter is the speed of the memory or accessing time, whatever you say. Among those three parameters, in this picture only shown these two parameters: accessing time. Accessing time means speed of the memory, and storage. Storage means the size of the memory. Okay. One more parameter you should have add in this picture, that is cost of the memory, right? So accessing time and storage. Look at this figure very carefully. Accessing time and storage. The arrow has been given from bottom to top, top to bottom direction. Okay, the arrow has been given from top to bottom direction. That means is increasing direction it will show. Look, it is called increasing. Increasing means the accessing time is increasing, or you can say the speed of the memory is decreasing. Okay, access time is equivalent to the speed of the memory. So access time increasing means speed of the memory decreasing. So register is the fastest memory, okay, in a computer system. So speed of the memory decreasing from top to bottom. That means the bottom component of the computer memory is the highest speed, and top component of the computer memory maintain the highest speed, whereas the bottom component of the computer memory hierarchical structure maintain the lowest speed. Clear? So register is one of the fastest computer memory device among all the other memory devices in a computer system. Then after register, the next fastest memory device is cache memory. Then after register and cache, next fastest memory device is the primary memory and main memory. Then after primary memory and main memory, then the next fastest device is the secondary memory. So overall, the computer register is the most fastest devices among all components among all the memory architecture, and secondary memory is the slowest devices, the less fastest or slowest devices. Okay. Now this comes into the second parameter, that is storage parameter, which is also in terms of increasing. Increasing means the register contains the lowest data or smallest storage, whereas the secondary disk, hard disk, has the highest storage or can contain large volume of data. And in the same order, it will increasing. The register contains the lowest data, then cache memory contains little bit more data than register, then main memory, then hard disk. So in our case, so in this computer memory, register generally contain 1 bit of data. Remember it. All the register generally contain 1 bit of data. Register generally contain 1 bit of data. So 1 bit of data means either 0 or 1 at a time register will store. Okay. So obviously you can understood how much smaller the size of the register is, and there are several kinds of registers are available in computer system architecture. It depends on various architecture, like accumulator is one of the important register. Then program counter, PC program counter full form is one of the important register. Then A register, B register, H register, L register. Okay, so these are the various kinds of registers are available. So you will get the details about this register while you are going to learn about the computer organization architecture subject or microprocessor subject. You will get the details about all these registers. Okay, you will have to learn it very well. So register generally divided into two types: general purpose register and special purpose register. Okay, so these A, B, H, L, these are the general purpose registers, whereas accumulator, program counter, PC, these are the special purpose register. So all the register has their own task to do or own job to do. But one thing you should remember, that register are the one of the fastest device in computer memory system, and it can store maximum 1 bit of data, and it is the closest memory device towards the processor. Processor সবথেকে কাছে. Okay, it is the closest memory device. Register is the closest memory device towards the processor, and the register can match the speed of the processor with itself. Only register can match the speed of the processor with itself. Okay, that means processor speed এর সঙ্গে সমান তালে the register can work. So that's why register is the fastest. So one parameter, two parameter has been discussed. One is the speed of the computer memory. Second parameter discussed the storage or size. Third parameter is the cost. So obviously you can understand, if the computer memory has the highest speed, obviously that memory is the most costliest memory, most expensive memory, because to give it the highest speed capabilities, it has to be used some special purpose material within it. Okay, semiconductor material within it to make it highest, and that semiconductor material is the most expensive material, right? So in terms of cost, it will just, if you draw the arrow from top to bottom, then it will be in decreasing mode. Okay, in terms of cost, if you draw the arrow from top to bottom, then it will be in decreasing mode. That means register has the highest cost, then cache memory, then main memory, and the lowest cost memory is the hard disk. So in general purpose computer system, or in a general computer system, we are the PC that we are using, generally using, the register is generally size of 1 bit. Okay, the cache memory we are using is generally size of 4 megabit. General cache memory size is 4 megabit. I already discussed about the relationship between bit bytes in the previous class. I hope that all of you remembered it. So 4 megabyte is general size of the cache memory. Now you can say, sir, can we use the cache memory of 8 megabyte? Yes, you can use the cache memory of 8 megabyte, but the cache memory is also one of the costliest memory after the register in the computer memory system. So if you use a 8 MB cache memory in your machine, if you want to use, then you will have to pay more, right? If your machine becomes more expensive. Okay, so general machines generally store a cache memory with a size of 4 megabyte, right? Then main memory or RAM, as all of you know, all of you have an idea of RAM, how much memory the RAM has. So nowadays the RAM we generally see 4 GB or 8 GB. Okay, this kind of RAM we already have in our computer system nowadays. Okay, ROM also has a very small amount of memory. I don't remember the actual size of the ROM that we are using in general purpose computer, but it actually contains such kind of data which you don't need to reinstall again and again. That means I already told ROM is a non-volatile memory and RAM is a volatile memory. What is volatile memory? Volatile memory means a temporary storage, and non-volatile memory means permanent storage. So ROM store all the data permanently or save all the data permanently until the lifespan of the ROM hardware. Until the ROM hardware will not be corrupted, the data will be stored within the ROM infinite amount of time. So that's why the operating system files are generally installed, downloaded and installed inside the ROM. So each and every time when you will open your computer system or open your machine, you don't need to install the operating system again and again because it already stored inside the ROM, which is a non-volatile memory structure. Not only that, I think all of you have seen this time and date of our system, we generally store. So when you will switch off your machine and again switch on your machine, should you need to change this time and date again and again, or should you need to reset this time and date again and again? No. Why? Because it is permanently saved into the ROM. Okay, so these are the data which actually stored into the ROM. So all your boot sector, or you can say the boot ROM is mainly responsible to store the permanent files. Okay, whereas RAM is just like working opposite of ROM. It's a volatile memory. So whatever data it will store inside the RAM, random access memory, that will be automatically deleted or automatically removed from the RAM when the power of your computer system is moved or power of your computer system is switched off. When you switch off your computer system and again switch on your computer system, then you will find that whatever data you will store inside the RAM, that has been automatically washed away or erased. Okay. Now, secondary memory, all of you know the size of the hard disk. Hard disk drive is the most important secondary memory, and nowadays secondary memories at least comes into 1 terabyte size. Okay, at least come into 1 terabyte size. And tertiary memory, you know the different size of a pen drive, CD, DVD, flash drive. So all of you must know about the speed and size of in which speed this memory device. You can get the various pen drive and various CD, DVD, ROM with their special speed and size. You will get that information in any good learning material of the internet. Okay. So this is a computer memory hierarchy, a computer memory structure. If anyone has any question, you can ask me. Do you understand this computer memory architecture?
Yes, sir. Sir, what is cache memory?
Now I will come to discuss about individual memory. Okay. So right now, just tell me, do you understand this architecture based on those three parameters: size, speed, and cost?
Yes, sir, understood.
Understood? Okay. Very good. Now comes into the discussion. The first discussion, register, which I already discussed about the registers. Okay. And I have already given some of the example of the registers. So you should remember the examples of the register, because in the examination you have to give some kind of examples. Okay. If you don't know about the work of the register, it is fine. Doesn't matter. But you have to know the some basic examples of the register. Now then comes into the next memory of the pyramidal structure, that is the cache memory. So its pronunciation is like a cash, CASH. Okay, it's like a money. The cash is pronunciation cash, but its spelling is different like a cash. Okay, from a cache. So cache memory is a very small but very fast memory. Okay, obviously you can understood that just after register, its speed comes. Okay, and it is also one of the costliest memory, and it come that's the cost of the cache memory is just come after register, right? Now, it stands between the main memory and CPU. Okay, this is a main memory. Primary memory is also called main memory. So it stands between the main memory and CPU. Look, this is the actual locations of all the memory in your system. Try to understand. This is the actual block diagram of the locations of all the memory in your system. Try to understand this concept. So this is a CPU. This is a CPU. Okay, your processing unit. Okay, look at this figure very carefully. This is the CPU, which is your processing unit, or your microprocessor. You can say Core i3, Core i5, Pentium 4, whatever it is. These circle symbols are the registers. These circle symbols are the registers. So registers are generally built up just on chip on the CPU. So register is, I already told, the register is the most closest element of the CPU. That's why I told register is one of the most closest element of the CPU. Now after register, there is a cache came. There is a cache. Okay, cache memory. So you can understood primary memory, and in between primary memory and CPU, the cache memory came. Right? Cache memory is also volatile in nature. Cache memory is also volatile in nature. Volatile means it's a temporary storage. Okay, when the power is on or off, your the cache memory, whatever data the cache memory is stored, will be erased off. Right? Now, can anyone see that I have used this triangle structure 2 times in my figure? This is one triangle, this is one triangle. Can anyone tell me why I have used this 2 triangle structure? Anyone has any idea? Why have I used this 2 triangle structure? This is a cache memory. Why I have used this one? What is this? Anyone has any idea? Any guess?
Sir, this is registers.
No, I already told registers are represented in terms of circles. These are registers.
Sir, this is another cache memory.
Yes, this is also a cache memory. That's why I've used the same symbol.
Another cache memory, sir.
Yes, there are 2 kind of cache memory available in the computer architecture. One is L1 cache, another one is L2 cache. Okay, L1 cache is also called on-chip cache. On-chip cache, and L2 cache is also called off-chip cache. So you understand about the on-chip. On-chip means on that particular processor it will be embedded. So it is the closest cache memory of in front of the CPU, the most closest cache memory to the CPU. And this L2 cache is the off-chip cache. That means it is outside the, it is not connected with the, or it is not embedded on the CPU itself. It is just embedded outside the CPU. Okay, so 2 kind of cache memory are there. Now you can ask me, sir, what is the necessity of using these 2 kind of cache memory? I will discuss about it. Just wait. Okay. Then, so cache memory is a volatile memory. I already told it's a high-speed memory. It's sometimes used to increase the speed of the processing by making current programs and data available to the CPU at a rapid rate. So the programs or the current data which are frequently accessed by the CPU, or which are frequently called by the CPU, that it makes available, okay, at a particular time at a rapid rate. That's why the cache memory is the fastest memory, and it's almost similar to the speed of the CPU. Okay, almost similar. It's a little bit less from the speed of the CPU, but it's almost similar. And register speed is equivalent to the CPU speed. Okay. Then came into the primary memory. So primary memory generally is stored into two types: RAM, ROM. Okay. So each and individual memory I am going to discuss, and then comes in the secondary memory, is the slowest memory. Okay. But the size of the secondary memory is the largest one among all the other memory, and it is less expensive compared to all the other memories. Okay. Acha. Now, one concept that I need to discuss with you. That concept is called locality of reference. Okay. In terms of memory hierarchy, the concept is called locality of reference. So one of the very, very important concepts in terms of memory hierarchy or computer storage devices. Right. What is locality of reference? Listen very carefully. Okay, I'm giving one real life examples, one case study or illustration to give you the concept of locality of reference. Everyone listen very carefully. Suppose you have thrown a birthday party at your home, right? You have thrown a party, not birthday party. You have thrown a simple party at your home. Now, this is a summer season, so you have thrown a party in a summer season. So you would like to invite your 5 friends. You have invited your 5 friends, okay, to attend the birthday party, and you would like to offer them cold drinks when they will come into your house for the birthday party. Try to understand what I'm trying to say. Now, which one is the local storage of your cold drinks? Which one is the local storage of your cold drinks? Your refrigerator is the local storage of your cold drinks. So 5% came. So you have ordered 5 1-liter cold drinks for 5%, right? The total 5 cold drinks bottles you have. Each cold drinks bottle contains 1 liter of cold drinks for the 5%, because you have invited 5%, 5 of your friends, and those cold drinks bottles you have stored into your local refrigerator or into your house refrigerator, right? Now, when 7 p.m. you have thrown the party, so 7 p.m. you are waiting for your friends, and you suddenly got a surprise that your friends came with their family members. So suppose each friend came with 2 family members. So now 5 friends into total 3 family members, including that friend. So 5 into 3, total 15 members came for your party. Now you will get very much disturbed because your party maybe failed because there is a shortage of cold drinks in your party, because you have only 5 liters of cold drinks and your friend came along with all the other members, like 15 members, right? So what you will do? What is your job to do? You will have to purchase a cold drink, right? So where you are going to purchase your cold drinks? You are going to purchase your cold drinks nearby shop, at the nearby shop. Now, when you will go at the nearby shop, you will find that they have 5 liters more cold drinks at the shop. So total 5 liters storage at your home refrigerator plus 5 liter you have carried from the nearby shop. The total 10 liter cold drinks you have, but you are still shortage of 5 liters cold drinks more, because there are total 15 members. Each member needs 1 liter of cold drinks, so total 15 liters of cold drinks is required for the party. But you have only 10 liters of cold drinks, right? Now what you will do? So local shop fails to provide you the cold drinks as per your requirements. So now you will go to the big bazaar, okay, the giant shop for all the cold drinks. So you will get the sufficient requirement of the cold drinks, whatever your requirement, you will get that requirement. The big bazaar will fulfill the requirement of your cold drinks, and you will carry that cold drinks at your home, and then you will store that cold drinks at your refrigerator, right? Or this can be done in other way, like your local shopkeeper will tell that just wait for 5 minutes, the cold drinks are coming from the big bazaar to deliver into the local shop. So you will wait into the local shop. The big car came full of with cold drinks, came and stored the refrigerator of the local shop, and from that refrigerator the local shop vendor will provide you 5 cold drinks. So from big bazaar, the local shop vendor refrigerator will be fulfilled by all the cold drinks, and then from local shop vendor refrigerator, you will fulfill your local refrigerator or your house refrigerator with your required cold drinks. So do you understand this example? Is anyone has any issue about this example? Do you understand it, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Clear to everyone, right? Now let me compare with this situation in this memory hierarchy structure. So your local refrigerator is working like this cache memory. Your local refrigerator is working like this cache memory. Your local vendor shop, nearby vendor shop is working like your primary memory. And the big bazaar is working like your secondary memory. Clear? And here the data is working like your cold drinks. The data is working similar to your cold drinks. So data, whatever data has been generated by the CPU, it will first stored into the cache memory. Why cache memory? Why cache memory it will store? Because at the time of requirement, it can directly get the data very fast from the cache memory. So obviously, when your cold drinks has been finished, you will have to check your local refrigerator that whether any extra bottle is there or not. If you don't find the extra cold drinks in your local refrigerator, then you will check the same cold drinks for your nearby shop. And if you fail to get the new the cold drinks at the nearby shop, then you will go for the big bazaar. So whenever you will won't get at a first chance, when there is a scarcity of the cold drinks, will you arrive the big bazaar first, or will you go for the big bazaar first for the cold drinks, for searching the cold drinks? No, we never do that. We will go for the nearby shop, and if the nearby shop will fail to provide my requirements, then I will go for the big bazaar. The same thing is there. The CPU searching the data which has been stored into the cache memory first. If cache memory fails to provide the data to the CPU, then it will search the data into primary memory or main memory. If the main memory fails to provide the data to cache memory, then it will search the data into the next memory, that is the big bazaar or you can say the large volume of all the data, which is called secondary memory. And the data is not directly coming from secondary memory to CPU. The data is not directly coming. Suppose the data does not find cache within the cache memory, and the data same data that does not find within the primary memory, but the same data has been found within the secondary memory. But the secondary memory cannot send the data directly to the CPU, or the data cannot transfer directly from the secondary memory to the CPU. Why? Because there is a speed gap. There is a huge speed gap. CPU is very faster, whereas secondary memory is very slower. So if you directly transfer the data from secondary memory to CPU, then you will have to wait at least 1 to 2 hours to transfer 1 GB of data from secondary memory to CPU. And CPU also has to wait for this. But CPU makes a CPU ideal is a very wrong thing. You cannot make your CPU ideal. Okay, you have to work your CPU as much as possible, right? So that's why the data first arrive from secondary memory to the primary memory, and then the data arrive from primary memory to the cache memory, and then the data again arrive from cache memory to the CPU. So the speed gap in between these memories are reducing respectively. Okay, understood? And this overall process is called locality of reference, because the data has to first search into the local area, that is cache memory. If it is not found, then it will search in the nearest local area, this primary memory, and if it is not found, then it will search for the secondary memory. And the data has been transferred in just reverse order. That's why this two-way of arrow has been represented here. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any question?
No, sir, it's clear.
It's a very, very important concept, locality of reference. Everyone, please remember it. Okay, so next came into the primary memory or main memory, that is RAM, static RAM, dynamic RAM. So as all of you know that static RAM is RAM is overall a volatile memory, and static RAM also provides a volatile storage. And but as long as the power is supplied, it needs no special regenerator circuits to retain the stored data. Static RAM does not require any regenerator circuit to retain the stored data. As long as the power is there, the static RAM store data automatically. But in case of dynamic RAM, that means when the power is there, but also dynamic RAM leaks the information. It's leaking the informations automatically, but power is there. power is on, but dynamic RAM has a drawback to leaking the information automatically, because dynamic RAM generally made of with a regenerator circuit. Okay, regenerator circuit. So let's go to the circuit of the static RAM. This is a static RAM diode structure. A RAM can be built of with various components, transistor or with the help of transistor, we can also build a RAM. In your computer organizations or architecture lab, you will build all these structures. Okay, you will have to implement the RAM structure with the help of basic circuitry. Okay, in your computer organization lab, you will do it. So these are diode-based static RAM structure. So if static RAM came into your exam, if you draw this structure, okay, that will carry your marks. So these two are the lines. These are word line. Okay, this is called word line, and this is called bit line. BL means bit line. Okay, this is BL and this is BL complement. That means if the bit line is 1 here, then this is the inverse of the 1 stored here. That means 0 stored here. If the bit line is 0 here, then inverse of the 1 stored here is inverse of the 0 stored here. That means 1 stored here. And these two diodes are cross coupled with each other. These are cross coupled circuit of the diodes. Okay, and these two are the transistors. All of you have gone through, already have the idea of the diode and transistor, because you already have knowledge of electronics and electrical in the first semester. Okay, so these two are the transistors, and these two transistor base is connected with the word line, and their emitter is connected with the bit line. Okay, their emitter is connected with the bit line, and then their collector is connected with two ends of the cross coupled diode. Okay, I am not, I don't want to discuss about the internal architecture, or you can say the internal working principles of this circuit. Okay, if you are interested, you can go through it. This circuit, it is also available in the this circuit working functions also available in the internet, or the notes which I have provided. So this is a single structure of a static RAM cell, SRAM cell. This is a single structure of SRAM cells, and the RAM memory SRAM, it consists of millions and trillions of these SRAM cells. These are only a single RAM cell has been shown to you, and your memory consists of millions and trillions of RAM cells. Okay, SRAM. In the same way, there is these are dynamic RAM cell structure. One single dynamic RAM cell structure, which will consist of one transistor and one this circuit. Can anyone tell me which one is this circuit? You already know it. What is the name of this circuit? Any one of you can tell me what is the name of this circuit? This is a transistor. What is the name of this circuit?
Capacitor.
Capacitor.
Very good, capacitor. The transistor is working like a switch off and switch on. When the current is passing through it, it's working like a switch on. When no current is passing through the transistor, it's working like a switch off, right? And what is the job of the capacitor? Capacitor's job is to store electric charges. It's capable of storing electric charges. And here electric charges means information is stored in DRAM cells in the form of electric charge in a capacitor. And capacitor একটা drawback আছে. What is the drawback of the capacitors? The capacitor drawback is that it has a normal leakage capability. That means that electric charges which has been stored inside the capacitor, it will automatically leakage after a few seconds. Okay, after a few amount of time, milliseconds, it will automatically leak. So that's why you have to refresh this circuit again and again to regenerate the electric charges within the capacitor. এই জন্য আমি তোমাদের বললাম that when the dynamic power is on, still the power is on, the dynamic RAM automatically leak is stored data. Where the static RAM, there is no concept of capacitor exists inside the static RAM. That's why there is no concept of leakage of electric charges or leakage of information exists inside the static RAM. So this is the major difference between static RAM and dynamic RAM. Okay, so static RAM and dynamic RAM both are volatile, but the static RAM is when the power is still on, the static RAM is fully stored all the data. Okay, or permanently stored all the data until the power is still on. Whereas in dynamic RAM, until the power is still on, it still leak the data or leak the information due to the internal capacitor structure of the circuit. Okay, this is the major difference between static RAM and dynamic RAM. right? So this is all about RAM chip. Now, random access memory is a concept. Random access memory is a concept. This link will be inaccessible after 1 minute. Okay, so you can click on the same link for the next session. Okay, so ROM, I already discussed about the ROM. Okay, PROM, EEPROM, I just left for you. Okay, I just left for you. Programmable ROM, electrically programmable ROM, and EEPROM. Don't need to discuss or don't need to know about the very details of these circuits, because you are going to learn all these circuits in your upcoming subjects like digital electronics or computer organization. You just need to know about the difference between these three. Just difference, only difference between these three. No need to know anything about the circuits. Okay, and static time, dynamic time, I already discussed about it, right? And the secondary storage, so hard disk drive. So I don't want to discuss about the very details of the hard disk drive. Okay, it is a collection of disk with a laser therapy is working on that disk. Okay, the data has been stored in terms of laser light. Okay, nowadays the whatever the hard disk drive is generating, there is a several head options are there. Okay, to read the particular data, head counter is there. So I don't want to discuss about all these things. So hard disk drive is a secondary device that is stored externally to the data, and hard disk drive or secondary memory store the data permanently, and it contains generally contains a large amount of data comparatively any previous memory device. Okay, and it is also used for storing backups of data programs so that they are not permanently lost. Okay, they store the data permanently, you can say. So this is all about your computer memory structure. Okay, a pen drive, CD drive, flash drive, I have nothing to say.